Hello, we're Right, I'll start again. Hello, we are Experience Kills. I'm Richard. I'm joined by my co-host Ben. Hi Ben.
Hello. Very serious introduction there, Richard. We are Experience Kills. We should take this with very important seriousness at all times.
I was just trying to get it right because I will edit it out, but I fucked up massively just before that one.
I think you should keep it in now you've said that. That's
Anyway,
on you. You do what you like.
I'm taking it out. I might take this out.
Okay.
No one will ever know. Anyway,
This is true.
This week we're playing Anthem. That's the new loot shooter from EA and BioWare. Everyone has an opinion on Anthem this week. We've got our own.
Oh my god, so many opinions on Anthem. So much opinion.
I like it.
I really bloody like this game too, Richard. I was going to say drop a big swear then, but I'd stopped myself because it's like, nope, this is for all ages. This game is brilliant. Like, really good.
I wasn't expecting much from this, to be honest. I don't know if that plays a role in how much I like it at the moment. And there are caveats with that because neither of us are at the end game stuff. There's far more content in here than either of us were led to believe. Because we've put, 25 hours in each and we're still working through the story missions?
Yeah, I think we've both basically done 24 hours of gameplay. And yeah, that's would be, right, so put it this way. 24 hours for 55 quid or whatever. Yeah. That sounds like a fairly good value proposition for me right now. By any game standards, surely. If you're going to do that kind of math, as a lot of people do. And we haven't finished the story yet, and there's loads of stuff to do. Do you want to just describe what the game is?
That's a good idea. Yeah, so I've said it's a loot shooter. What that means is EA want to cash in on the Destiny bandwagon. It might have left town already. We know that, but they started making this ages ago, right? So give them some slack. It's a pretty good approximation of what Destiny achieved, for better or worse. The key difference being that you can fly in Anthem, so it's not just about running between locations and shooting stuff, you can fly as well. That adds quite a lot to the combat actually, so instead of just running between any number of dystopian future landscapes, you are now flying between verdant, lush, green, beautiful forests and jungles, and there's a real richness to this environment that's just staggering how beautiful it is, really.
Oh, it's incredible to look at. Like, it reminded me of Pandora from Avatar, the film series. You know, that kind of level. Because also, something else that Avatar did was it had a sense of verticality to it, which is very apparent in some of the level design in Anthem. Mm-hmm. And it's just stunning to fly around, discover new Shaper artifacts, new ruins in the world, new locations. It's fantastic. I mean, just to touch on it, there's a bit more than just flying. I mean, the traversal, the mobility in general is a really important defining characteristic that sets Anthem apart from other shooters in this genre.
Absolutely.
You know, the dodge mechanics, the jump mechanics, you know, all of that comes together with the flying and just the sort of sprint mechanic as well on the ground. And they're different, but the different classes you play as and the different javelins you play as, there's different levels of mobility and stuff that you can do. So there's a lot of options just in traversal.
Yeah, I think there's quite a lot we have to unpack in this because you've used some terminology there that people might find confusing. So Shaper artifacts, javelins, there's a lot of language in this game.
The reason being BioWare made this game. Like, we should mention that it's not just EA, it's BioWare, the developers of Mass Effect. You know, these guys love nothing better than creating a new universe to play in, and they've certainly done that with Anthem. Like, there's tons of different terminology, like you said, that, you know, can describe things. So javelins are the Iron Man suits, and Shapers are kind of the god-type aliens that did this thing to the world that we're on called Bastion. It's not Earth, so there's lots of things going around, and you know, you're exploring the area around Fort Tarsis, and there's plenty of stuff to delve into. There's a codex, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, so like an actual encyclopedia for the game.
I love it.
Yeah, so it does a lot of things similar to Destiny in that way. There's lots of important sounding lore to flesh out the action. You're right, Ben, the flying is way more than just traversal. It's all about combat as well, so there's so many moments in this where you just run away in a normal FPS sort of situation, but there's so many more options with this. You can like run through enemies, leap over them, hover above them. There's so many tactical options that just give this a fresh experience while giving you a real sense of control. I never feel overwhelmed with the extra options for mobility that it gives me. It feels just nailed in terms of the interface and what it will let you do and how your intentions translate to the on-screen action.
Yeah.
I did get bored of Destiny after a while. Destiny 2, I kind of lingered on through the campaign and didn't feel a reason to go back. I do feel like Anthem's different. There's a lot of feedback from the community about how this doesn't have a fully fleshed out endgame yet. But like we've said, you and I are still playing through the campaign. We haven't hit that wall yet. And there is a roadmap already laid out for what the emerging content is going to look like from BioWare over the next 3 months.
So I just a couple of things. You mentioned Destiny and stuff. I just want to say I was hugely into Destiny, right? The first Destiny, I put probably, I think it's like 3,000 hours into the first Destiny game. Something to that effect.
3,000?
And then, yes. Yes.
Okay,
I played a lot of Destiny 1. Destiny 2, however, it was a much better initial sort of showing from that, but then quickly lost interest in the end game on Destiny 2. And I lost the desire to come back to that pretty rapid. But what I loved so much about the first Destiny was the lore, was the world, was that kind of drip feeding of content that kept me coming back and kept me interested. And I'm getting that vibe from Anthem. I'm getting that feeling of the world and the characters and the location. And I'm seeing the possibilities of where EA and BioWare could take that whole location and expand it. And it sounds like they've got, you have some pretty ambitious plans to bring actual story content pretty quick. Within a couple of months, they're going to be developing the end game. So you also mentioned the criticism. Now, a lot of criticism has come from the professional video game press, right? And the scores on average have been between 5s and 7s out of 10. I'm a little bit mystified by it from that, and I can also understand the general sort of level of dissatisfaction that gamers are starting to feel increasingly towards these outlets that have rushed through the campaign clearly to get to the end game, have probably skipped a lot of that dialogue options that you get in Fort Tarsis, have probably skipped side missions to get through the single player sort of story, the core of it. Have they played it in co-op? I don't know. For example, I have spent loads of time just talking to people at the fort, and they are all incredibly interesting characters. I haven't met a single person I didn't find engaging, at least on some level. They're beautifully rendered, they're incredibly well mocapped and voice acted, and some genuinely touching stories and stuff as the game progresses. It unlocks as you get more dialogue options as you beat missions and you continue along. And I've really enjoyed that. And that's when BioWare's BioWare-ness really shines through. This is what they love doing, is these characters. And there is a level of dialogue choice you get in these interactions as well, though it isn't as in-depth as Mass Effect. But yeah, I've really enjoyed that aspect. And all I can think of about these critics is it must have been just reviewing it under the gun, and maybe a general dissatisfaction towards loot shooters as a genre, because I'm having a great time, Richard, and I'm kind of baffled to feel so differently to so many outlets that I really respect and really, usually, have similar feelings towards.
It is strange, isn't it? I mean, I don't want to second guess a professional's opinion of this game or any other game. They're entitled to how they feel about it.
Of course.
But I just don't understand it, frankly. There's a suspicion from me that this is about the genre rather than the game. The notion that games like this are coming out now with greater frequency, making greater demands on gamers' time. There's that sort of paradox where every game that comes out is the next one that's going to consume all of your game time. It's not sustainable as a model, and from a journalistic point of view, it's difficult to really gauge the success of a game like that, because so much of it depends on the content release schedule post-launch. It relies on the engagement from a community which doesn't exist at the point that a journalist is looking at that title. there's so many unknowns that it's difficult for a journalist to do their job.
I think that they're also trying hard to reflect how they think the community feels. There has been a pushback against games being released in an unfinished state. You look at No Man's Sky, you look at Fallout 76, just to name two of them. These games have come out and they've been mediocre at first. Especially in No Man's Sky's case, it's improved greatly over the course of years. But Fallout 76, as I talked about when I reviewed it last year, was a complete train wreck of a game. That, however, isn't Anthem. And the fact that Anthem's Metacritic score is less than that is just unbelievably mind-blowing to me. That people were willing to forgive more from Fallout. I just don't get it. But the point is, these are live games. These games... It is a sort of a problem you might have with these games being released in, not completely finished. And I get that, and that can annoy certain people. In that case, my suggestion would be just don't buy them. Like, if that's not something you're happy with, if that's something that's going to be a real roadblock for you, then you shouldn't engage with that product, at least for a year or something. Just don't even go near it. But, there is an acceptance in my mind that I knew this game was going to be this live development game that's coming out in a shared world shooter genre. I know there's going to be progress made on it. I've already seen the roadmap. I've been following the developer. I know they've got post-release plans. It's not like this game is coming out. It is weird to say it's not coming out finished, but it isn't. I mean, that's the nature of this type of experience, that improvements are going to be made, because I'm not going to deny it, there are problems with Anthem. It's not perfect, even though we've had a lot of fun with it.
I think there's two different strands to this. There's the aspect of a game not being finished in terms of it not working properly. We can talk about the bugs, there are a few.
Yeah.
But the other side of that is it not being finished in terms of its content. Clearly, it isn't going to be finished. The whole point of this game is that it grows over time. So I don't understand the criticism from that angle, that this is a game that should have more in it from the beginning. It's got plenty in it. I'm still playing through everything that it's got to offer, and I don't see the end in sight yet. I'm not sure how far away I am, but I know I'm not there yet after 20 odd hours of play.
If I get to 30 hours, Richard, 40 hours, and I'm like, you know what, I'm going to step away now. I'm going to let BioWare bring some content out. I'm going to let them get into their roadmap, and then I'll revisit it, and then I'll come back and I'll grind some more, and I'll do some more loot collecting, and I'll see what else comes out. That's not a poor investment in your time or with your money. 40 hours is a damn good amount of entertainment for that £50 price tag. It really is. If
you're enjoying the core gameplay, which you and I are, others may not. I mean,
sure.
You could argue that some of the mission structures are quite repetitive and rote.
Yep.
There's no denying that. They are. So they range from sort of hide and seek sort of missions where you'll get a radar indicator that'll tell you there is something for you to interact with in the map. Go and find it, press X when you get the prompt. Yeah, that's not groundbreaking gameplay by any means. That's used quite a lot.
Mm-hmm. The other one, of course, is go grab a control point and then hold it.
Yep.
That one comes up a lot. Or go to an area and kill all the enemies.
Yeah. The only time it gets more involved than that is the odd puzzle where you've got to go into Tomb Raider style block movement and rotate things into the right pattern.
That's kind of just bad. I mean, that's like, I'd rather it wasn't even in the game. It just feels so unnecessary, those puzzles. But I suppose it's nice to have something different to do, I guess. But I think it's easy to forget that Destiny wasn't any better.
No.
Like, it really, really, really wasn't. And what Destiny relied on was, at its core, it was a very, very, very good first-person shooter. And I think at Anthem's core, it's a very, very satisfying third-person shooter. I wouldn't say necessarily as good as Destiny's combat, but I think what Anthem does better than Destiny is it contextualizes the missions and the story and the reason you're doing things in a better way than Destiny did. I think it's way more engaging and from a narrative point of view.
The biggest difference is that with Destiny there might be plenty of lore in there, but you have got to go into that what's it called, a grimoire?
Yes.
You've got to read all of that stuff separately to understand any of it. I'm not really bothering with the codex in Anthem, but I still have a reasonable grasp of what's happening, who's involved, what the story arcs are with it's got to be a couple of dozen characters in Fort Tarsis.
Without spoiling anything, did you have the big twist yet?
Yes.
So I didn't see that coming, Richard.
I did just before, when he's talking about what a great mate he is. I thought, yeah, something going on there. But yeah,
I didn't see it coming. I thought that again, he was a very well acted character, and I was quite invested in that relationship. So when that happened, I was like, you prick. So honestly, I got swept up a lot along there, and there was none of that in Destiny. Like, there was nothing. You had those bloody vanguards, and they basically just gave you missions and told you to F off when they were bored with you. There was no emotional connection to really any characters in that game. So that's where BioWare's quality is really shining through. So should we talk a little bit about some of the technical bugs? Because I don't want to ignore them. This game isn't perfect.
We'll talk about that in a minute, because you've just touched on some of the character stuff, and I just wanted to get a couple of points out on that.
Go for it.
You're right. BioWare, their sort of history of making meaningful characters with emotional connections runs right through this. Just an interesting introduction to that for me in this game. It just came completely unexpected in the first 5 minutes. I think it's the first mission where it's teaching you how to fly. There's a bit where you land on this sort of outcrop populated by creatures called grabbits. Do you remember this? They're like huge rabbits. And I killed one because I thought that's what you do, right? This is Fantasy Star-esque. Kill all the monsters, even if they look cute. And then it comes up with this lore like bubble saying grabbits are normally quite social creatures. You've probably just orphaned a load of them.
Yeah, good job.
Like, oh shit!
Good job, Richard.
And, just by killing an enemy, what I thought was an enemy in the habitat, just made me feel really shit. And there was another. Have you come across that old woman in Fort Tarsis who's looking for a daughter?
Oh yeah,
mate. I don't want to talk about like where
I've
that
got
relationship
to the,
goes.
I've got to the end of that, and it's pretty heartbreaking. Yeah.
Is it?
Oh yeah.
Mate.
I mean, what I'll say is as well that you have an option to skip through a lot of this dialogue. Maybe it's an option a lot of those journalists we mentioned earlier took. I very rarely do, because I think it's never that long. It's always really well presented and interesting, and I absolutely 100% engage with it.
Yeah, added to that, if you're interested in leveling up in all areas of this game, you get experience by talking to people, so there's something in it for you as well.
Yes, absolutely. It's incentivized, isn't it?
Anyway, bugs. Let's talk about bugs, shall we? What has gone wrong in Anthem? I've had a couple. So when you and I were playing yesterday, we had quite a lengthy free play session, after which, or towards the end of which, this precipitated it ending actually. Half of my game world disappeared when I flew too close to something I probably wasn't supposed to be near. It never recovered, so all of my textures started disappearing. Huge mountains and mountain ranges were gone, and I could still sort of fly around, but there was just invisible barriers that stopped me going anywhere that I wanted to go. So that was a bad one.
For me, I've had a couple of hard locks to the dashboard, or out to desktop, out to dashboard, if whatever you want to call it. And then I had the audio bug, which is actually quite famous.
Yeah.
No.
So losing all audio until you reboot.
Yep. So and then I had my DLC items randomly disappear from my inventory a couple of times until you reboot as well. So that's, there's some work to be done, but as we saw and experienced, we played a lot of this together over the weekend. They are pushing patches constantly. There was a hotfix on Saturday. A patch went out, which actually caused some issues for us, forced us to come off to reload the game, to actually force an update and stuff like that. But you can't blame them. They want to get the game fixed, and they're constantly looking at stuff. So that's. There is a live team in place. They are constantly doing this work. I don't know. I mean, I don't think those bugs prevent me from having a good time. I don't think any of the... All right, I wouldn't say any of them. The story missions would be a bummer to lose out on if you lost progress, or it crashed out in the middle of one of the main story missions, I suppose, or in a stronghold. But those smaller contracts and stuff, if you crash out of that, it's not the end of the world. And it didn't affect our enjoyment of the game, did it really?
No, and I don't think it actually lost me anything. I was worried. Do you remember I was talking about how many drops I'd got that I thought I'd lost?
Yeah.
I completed another mission. They all came back.
Oh, right, there you go.
I got an absolute ton of stuff. So it does seem as if you do have a problem, it's not a real issue. It looks after you in terms of your experience and any drops that you might have otherwise missed out on.
How do you feel about the criticism towards loading times?
To begin with, it didn't bother me. I think it felt like it was taking longer to load towards the back end of yesterday. I don't know whether that's just because I'd been playing it for an entire day and I was just sick of waiting. But no, I don't think it's egregious. It's not terrible.
No, I don't think they're that bad. I mean, it is unfortunate that you have to load into the Forge, but it's very quick as a load goes.
Yeah.
How do you feel about not being able to equip weaponry mid-mission and having to come all the way out to the Forge just to say try a new loadout in free play?
Not sure how much that bothers me, frankly.
So the kind of the core argument would be there. This is a loot shooter. What the F? You don't let me try different loot.
You can try it, can't you? I mean, I don't feel that the missions are long enough that I need to worry about being stuck with the wrong weapon. You know, and there aren't any weapons that are entirely useless. I feel like whatever I pick, I can get through a mission with it. It's fine, and you know, it's all for the good, isn't it? Whatever you pick, you're making progress towards leveling that weapon's achievements up. So there's different goals attached to each type of weapon, and the more that you use it, the more money you get, the more stuff you can buy to pimp out your javelin. So I don't have an issue with that. I mean, if the missions went on for like 4 or 5 hours and you suddenly found an hour in that weapon is not cutting it, then maybe that's a problem. But I haven't hit any walls at all with the equipment I've taken into missions yet. It's fine.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
What about you?
No, I can see what people are coming from. The idea that, you know, so in Destiny, I would have multiple builds for different encounters. So it'd be like, if I went into this bit of the world, I'd want to equip, you know, this weapon with that weapon, and then I'd be ready to face that type of enemy. And you know, you could do that through the app. You could do it very quickly through the interface. So I can understand people having to readjust the mindset a little bit, that you're actually making a more permanent choice for that period of gameplay that you're going to then be engaging with. But it's just a different way of thinking. It's not necessarily a bad way of doing it. It's just different. Do you know what I mean? You know, we're getting to that point now where we're no longer just looking at the power numbers. We're actually looking at the status effects, the primers, and the sort of the ways in which you can create combos, and getting into the nitty gritty of things and actually really thinking about how to create the builds we want for the higher level engagement. I've been playing a lot on hard. I'm really looking forward to getting up to Grandmaster and then going through those levels. And I'm enjoying the core gameplay enough that I'm really looking forward to that end game grind. I'm really looking forward to that grind of, I'm going for my masterwork drops. I'm going for better inscriptions, even though I'm just trying to get the same weapons, you know. And then it's not about just putting your number up. It's about optimizing your build.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be a lot of fun in Anthem.
No, I agree. I'm looking forward to that too. I mean, today is the first time in a very long time that I've woken up for work and thought, you know what, I could get to work an hour later today. I'll get a few missions in. And I did. I got up. I played Anthem for an hour.
Nice. I like it.
That does not happen to me very often at all.
You get looks from the wife, don't you? Like, what the hell are you doing? And it's just like,
oh, she'd gone by then.
Should have guessed. But no, I played. I was fortunate enough not to be at work today. I played it all day. I want to play more of it now. I'm going to play probably some more tonight. I'll be on it again tomorrow. It's really good fun. Is there anything else you wanted to bring up before we bring this to a close?
No, just to finish on, I think both of us are enjoying what Anthem is at the moment. We're hopeful that it's going to continue to deliver interesting content that will keep us engaged for the next couple months at least. I'm really into it, and I hope people give it a chance, because it does seem to be fashionable to give it a kick at the moment. But there's a lot of love that's gone into this from BioWare, and I think they've got a good balance between what they normally do with all the story stuff in Fort Tarsis and how that's paced, with super smart, quick mobile action in the core game, which I'm really enjoying too. And I think they do complement each other.
Yeah,
that is working for me.
Yeah, I agree. I think they integrate really well, and one helps contextualize the other and give you a reason to do all of this stuff in a really nice way. I really like the world. I'm really enjoying like learning that large free play map and really getting the hang of where things are and where you need to go to get to X and do Y. There's definite quality of life stuff that can be improved. Things like there should be custom markers for the map so that it makes it easier for you to say, I want, me and my friend need to go over here, let's all go over here. Stuff like that needs to come into it. I think that would make a lot of sense, and I'm sure one thing I'm really down with is the community, especially on the Anthem subreddit. Those guys are giving quality critical feedback, and not holding back but really being constructive. And there's a lot of stuff, and the developers are on there and they're very active and replying, and a lot of stuff's getting listened to. And I think you're going to start to see a lot of these things appearing in the next few months, because it's a live game, and I think it's a really good foundation, a really good starting point, and I'm proper excited to see where things will be in say 3 months time. So yeah,
totally. Yeah, I think that's us. So thanks for listening, everybody. I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope you're enjoying Anthem. So get online, try and seek us out maybe, because we're up for some more games,
absolutely. Yeah, add us and we'll be happy to play with you and get you join our what do they call it? What's the team? Has the team got a name? A group of javelins, a flight of javelins, maybe.
A skewer javelins.
Okay. You can find us at Experience Kills on Twitter. Please add us there, and by all means drop us a tweet or two with any feedback or anything you want to let us know. Obviously we're on YouTube because you might well be watching it there, but you might not know you can just listen to these as well. You don't have to watch the whole video. We are on iTunes, we are on Spotify, we have a raw RSS feed you can add as well. Please like us and subscribe. It really helps get the word out. One thing we don't want to do is put any advertising on our YouTube channel, and to be honest, we're going to keep it that way. So to keep things going, just getting word out about us would be a big help. I'm at DIYE on Twitter as well personally. Richard, can people find you anywhere?
I'm at Colonel Red on Twitter. Also Xbox Live Colonel Red with the space in it.
Absolutely. So yeah, I think that's it from us. Bye.
Thanks everyone. Speak to you next time. Bye.
Bye.